Hello and welcome. I'm Whitney.
I'm Courtney.
And we are the Witch Source. And we wanted to start off with some fire magic. So leading up to Beltane, which is coming up on May 1st. And it is a fire festival. So we wanted to get into a little bit of elemental magic with the fire magic. So we'll be starting off the lead up to Beltane with that.
Yes. And some fun podcasts coming up to discuss it.
Yes. All right. So elemental magic, starting with fire
Elemental magic. Yes. So I guess I can start this one off.
Yeah.
So fire magic. Gonna let you know, researching this one was a little difficult, mainly in the fact that if you go to look up fire magic or, anything like that online, you're going to pull up gaming stuff. And having a husband who is a big gamer, I know what they're talking about, and that is not what we want.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're ever going to do your own research, I think when it comes to magic and spells, I think, unfortunately, a lot of the games have picked up on that. And that's something that you really do just have to weed through until you find the good stuff. Whitney, of course, she does research through her books and everything. So her information, is solely focused on the topic at hand. So,
Right.
she gets some really good deep dive information from her sources. I don't have as many books as she does. But so starting off, so some people consider fire magic pyrokinesis. I was a little iffy on that because, when you think of the telekinesis and all of the kinesises, I don't think of fire magic being a pyrokinesis. I think that, fire magic is completely separate from somebody who solely works with fire through their psychic powers
Right. No,
of
I would
the
agree.
kinesis type. So
I would actually agree with you on that. With the pyrokinesis, I think it's interesting. I think it's a fascinating, but I don't think it falls in the same category necessarily of working with the fire element within your magic.
right. And I do find it interesting that that is the first thing that I pulled up when I went to Lord Google, because Google knows all.
Right.
I was like, no, that does. I mean, so I think that also tells you that you kind of have to be careful about the information and the sources that you're
Mm,
finding online,
yes.
because, you don't know where they're getting their information from.
Right.
And having done the whole podcast on the psychic powers and the kinesises, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, nope, I am able to sit here and break off the two. So, yay
Right.
to our podcast. I learned stuff.
Yay.
Um, right. So, direction wise, with working with fire, the direction is south. And some of, I found substances, you can use candle flame, bonfire, wildfires. I don't recommend wildfires. I mean,
Okay.
unless they're just,
Yeah.
don't go and start one. That's bad.
Yeah, that's
But I did find heat, sunlight, electricity,
yes.
even, working with your oven, and
Yes.
fireworks, chemical reactions, those were things that I hadn't thought of before
Mm,
as actually working with fire magic.
right.
4th of July, you can take your fireworks and, create magical purposes. So, the
Yeah,
hot hands. Oh my
I
gosh,
ran.
has anyone?
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
did. Okay, so on the fireworks piece, I did run across in my books and research the fireworks actually, and I was a little surprised. I hadn't thought of it either until I ran across it. But the sparklers, using
Right.
fire for
Yeah.
your magic and stuff too. Absolutely. Like once I ran across it, I was like, oh yeah, that would be a cool element to add. Totally makes sense, but also did not think of it.
Well, and the fact that they had listed fevers,
Oh,
and I guess you could do some type of fever magic. But the chemical reaction was neat because, when I was looking at that, I'm like, well, what kind of chemical reaction, outside of cooking and stuff like that would, fire magic. But then I was thinking, we were at Carowinds this weekend and it was so cold. I wound up buying everyone the hot hands.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anyone's ever used those before, but you just open it up and shake it and it's instant heat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that is a chemical reaction there that would, I guess,
Yes.
could be considered, you know, fire. Um,
Okay, here's a
but
thought that just ran through my
uh-huh.
mind talking about the chemical reactions. What about using the lye, like when we make the soaps?
Yeah, lye does heat up very, very hot. It can actually start to boil the water sometimes.
Right.
So that
I
is
think
a
that's
great
classified as
idea.
we are working fire magic when we're making soaps. I think it
I
counts.
had I had not considered that. See,
I didn't either
that's
till you said
awesome.
that.
Um,
We just
so
added an
moving
extra
on,
layer of magic.
right. So the body parts associated with fire magic would be the loins, which makes sense
Oh,
because that's where
yes,
your
it does.
passion is at. Um, the immune and metabolic system, which to me
Oh,
does make sense because, your metabolic rate, that's the rate at which you burn calories. So you are burning something. Um,
that makes
totally love
sense.
that.
And so pulling in some of the aspects that we're going to go over as we go through this episode, like pulling that in. And so if somebody wanted to do a work with fire magic for like a weight loss spell to invoke and
Right.
fire up that metabolism, I mean, totally makes sense. And I get what you're saying. Like that would totally fall in line with doing some fire magic. I would agree with that.
I like that idea. Lord knows
Mhm.
I've been on that weight loss journey for a long time. I think we just need to get magical about it
Heck
and
yeah.
engage that metabolic
There's
system.
a spell for that.
There's a spell
Yes.
for that.
We will craft
Uh,
one.
so the zodiac signs associated with fire are Aries, Leo, and my sweet sister, Sagittarius.
That's me.
Yes.
Yes.
The planet associated with fire is Mars. And I know
Also,
you had said
Jupiter.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jupiter and the sun.
Hmm.
Yep, those as well.
And I guess we'll get into later the moon magic and okay, we'll get into
Yeah,
that
I got
later.
I got some fun stuff too.
Okay. So the fire magical properties, passion, anger, transformation, cleansing, destruction, protection, energy, force, renewal,
Mm,
rebirth, banishment,
yes.
purification, sex, warding, truth, and hope.
Hmm.
Truth I find interesting.
So I've got a lot on that to talk about as far as the truth. But if you think about fire magic as being illuminating, it
Um,
shines the light on the truth.
shines a light, like a flashlight shining a light in that dark. I love it.
Yes.
I love
Yep.
it. So fire animals are snakes, lizards, bees, crickets. I find that interesting. Crickets.
That's an
Uh,
interesting.
right. Scorpions, fox, lion, tiger, ram, fire ants. Oh yeah, now fire ants I totally get. Those buggers can go on. And fireflies.
Yes, fireflies.
Yes.
I do
Love
like the
fireflies.
fireflies. We used to catch those as
Yeah.
kids.
All the time.
Yes, we did.
The colors are the colors are red, orange, yellow, gold, and blue, which those all do make sense to me. I know some people associate blue with water, and, or cool and cold, maybe
Right.
the ice. But I mean, the blue really does make sense because if you look down closer to the flame, it does have that blue color to it. So I
That's
totally
true.
understand
Right
that.
at the base. Yeah. No, actually, I
Um,
did not come across blue, so this is an interesting one. But yeah.
yeah. The magical tools are candles, the
Mhm.
athame, though I've heard that called athame. So I
I
don't
say
know.
athame.
I say athame. I heard British people, call it, I think, an athame. So I don't know. I guess it depends on what side of the pond you're on. I
True.
don't want to offend people. um, the sword, dagger, stove and oven, and incense.
Mhm.
I like that they put your stove and oven in there.
Right. Yeah. The hearth as well.
Um, right, right. Oh yeah, the hearth. The magical creatures. I've got with fire magical properties are dragons, phoenixes, salamanders, and jinns. Is it dins or jinns? I think it's jinns
Gins.
because of genie.
Yeah. It's Jen. Actually, I did not run across that one. So that's interesting.
Right. So then we got some plants, and the plants with fire magical properties are rosemary, rue, basil, thistle, peppers, cactus, and coffee beans.
Oh,
So
coffee
every
beans.
morning when you drink that coffee, you are doing fire magic. Oh my gosh. And as you're drinking your coffee, engage your metabolism
There you
to
go.
kickstart that. We just did a spell.
Yep. Absolutely. I was just thinking that. So I do have a few to add to that.
Okay.
Or did you just have, was it flowers or do you have herbs and stuff separate?
No, I mean, for herbs wise, it was rosemary,
Okay. I've
rue, and
also got
basil.
uh so some other thoughts here are like bergamot, calendula, carnation, sunflowers,
Oh,
angelica, mandrake, wormwood, cedar, cinnamon, which makes sense, got a bit of spice,
cinnamon is my. Put the cinnamon
uh,
in your coffee.
and orange, of course, the citrus side of that, and frankincense. So
Love it. I don't want orange in my coffee though.
no,
Eh.
but the spicy orange, of like the fall of like the cloves and the that gives you that
See, I could
warm,
in
spicy
the
feel.
tea or cider.
Yeah, and then also you've got like in the summertime the citrusy scents that you can
Hmm.
add in and invoke. So yeah, definitely all of those. Yes, to all of those. And all of these that we're mentioning are things that you can pull in when you're crafting your spells to do your fire
Oh,
magic.
definitely.
So just
Oh,
like we were
yeah.
talking about doing the coffee and invoking that metabolism and having a little bit of fire magic every morning to get your day started. I mean, I like it. Sounds good.
I love it. I love it. So the next thing I have is magic and the types of magic that you can do with fire. So before we get into that, did you want to add anything to what we've already discussed?
Yes. So the chakra that I ran across, just to throw out the chakras, would be the solar plexus. But I do think the root could be included in that as well. Um, just to throw that out there. Celebrations, Beltane, obviously, because that's coming up and that's what we're going to be talking about. Also, Imbolc and Samhain. They are the
Right.
fire celebrations. Uh, if you're into numerology, your fire numbers would be 1, 3, and 9. And so, some thoughts on the numbers and the numerology side is like when you're crafting your spell to add that extra layer and element, you could do like 3 ingredients. Or you could do 9 ingredients, and that just would be adding that
Okay.
numerology piece in.
Right.
Um, and so just to throw in a little bit on the zodiacs. So the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So looking at these individually, the Aries, the fire side of Aries is that beginning. So that first spark, that lighting, and
Okay.
also like the inspiration. So anytime if you're wanting to do some fire magic, you can, if the moon is in Aries, that's a good time to start projects and have that first spark. But also you could include the Aries symbol in your spell work to help pull in that energy of sparking that new inspiration. The
Right.
Leo energy is a steadfast fire. So it's the steady burn. So if you wanted to have some longevity, so let's say you're doing a prosperity spell but you want, the ongoing prosperity, the longevity piece of that, the maintaining the prosperity. You would maybe do that spell when the moon is in Leo,
Okay.
because that would be that steady. And then Sagittarius, the fire element of Sagittarius is a changing, transformative fire. So, you could do when the moon is in Sagittarius, the good spells for that would be like anything that you want to increase energy or expand. So anything for expansion, or adapting. So, and changes. So
Right.
that's like the changing side. So I just thought it was interesting, the different fire elements for each of the zodiacs. And then again, you can, depending on what your spell work is doing, you can pull in the different symbols and, add that into your spell work. And it can be as simple as, carving the symbol into your candle, or, writing it on a sheet of paper or on your spell, just to add in that extra layer of energy and invoking more of that fire element. So I thought that was very interesting. The actual symbol for fire is a upright triangle,
Right.
and it does have a male aspect to it, but that not meaning so much male and female, as in male being the active principle, the movement, the action, and like
Kind of the
burning
strength.
away. Yes, yes. So, and it's that transformative, burning the way to the truth, and also transformation through self-motivated activity. So it's a very active principle, fire is.
And I think that makes sense because, I mean, I know in today's society, nobody wants to designate things. They're trying to remove the pronouns male, female, and
The
all of that stuff.
genders, right?
The genders. But I mean, when you really get down to it, each gender truly does, and we're talking, this is a religion that's, thousands of years old, so these qualities, you know, personifying, you know, the temperaments and the qualities that each gender had.
Mm-hmm.
Females being more dainty, more,
The
the
receptive quality,
caregivers. Yeah. I mean
right?
that, and when you think about sex, I mean,
Right. Well, and that's what magic is all about, is transformation, creation. When you get down to the basis of it, you have the opposites, and it's the blending of the opposites where the creation happens. And
right.
you have to have, and that's part of mastering your magic, and is learning to sit with those different qualities and understand those different qualities, so that you then know how to work with those energies and bring them together to create what it is that you want.
Right. And something that I did run across in doing the research is that, fire, in order to get fire, you have to have two sources. You have to have, the item that's being burned.
Mhm.
But on top of that, you have to have air. If a fire doesn't have oxygen, if a fire doesn't have air, it will go out, it will die.
Right.
So, incorporating some air elementals into your fire magic would act as an amplifier, but not
Yes.
too much because you don't want to blow it out.
Well, you don't want to blow it out. And also, fire is a tricky element, and it can get away from you very, very quickly. And it can spin out of control. And so, when you are working fire magic and you're wanting to create that big kind of change and transformation, you really have to be clear with your intention and how much you're putting into it, because you have that possibility of going
Oh,
to the
right.
extreme, and of creating something a lot more than you bargained for, if it
True.
gets away from you.
So
So,
would you see chaos magic being fire?
uh, I could see it being related. Yeah, I could see,
Wind. Actually, yeah, maybe wind,
right,
air,
right. If you combine certain
any of them
elements
really.
together, yeah, because all of them do have an active and a passive side. They have, their positive and negative qualities, quote negative,
Right.
because sometimes it's needed. So it's all in your perception. And as magical people, I advocate staying open,
Correct.
and not putting too much labeling as far as good and bad, and leaving space, because everything has a reason and a season, right?
I've always said that. I don't think that magic necessarily has to be deemed, you know, black, gray, or white. I think magic in and of itself is magic because even though you have a forest fire, relating
Mhm,
it back to fire, even though you
mhm,
have a forest fire, the forest fire, once it's gone through, brings about rebirth
mhm,
and makes the forest that much healthier. Um, nature in and of itself takes care of itself. It's
mhm.
unfortunately, we got in the way. We as
Right.
people built homes in the wrong place.
We started populating.
Yes. So, I mean, so we as people see it as destructive and a bad thing, whereas nature sees it as a cleansing.
Right, the
So
purification piece,
it's
which
all in the
is
way that you look at it.
right, right. It's the land purifying itself, and it is a part of nature. It is a natural cycle that happens, and it is part of that fire element. Purification is part of the fire element, like we talked about. So, if you talking about the good, the bad, or the active and the passive. So when you're working with this fire element, you can get from working with, uh, because it's not just the physical element of fire, right? There is an essence and an energy, to fire, which you're invoking in the magic more so than just the flame. And
Right.
that's what we really want people to take away from this. There's so much more than just the flame. It's really the energy and the qualities that you want. And so while we have strength and power, the protection, the active piece, the courage, the enthusiasm, the movement, the activity, productivity, passion, creativity, all these elements that if you are wanting to bring about, you know, just a new spark of life, right? Like if you're feeling unmotivated and really low on energy, you're going to want to invoke that fire element, because that's going to be the thing that brings everything up, and ignites you, to start taking action and give you the momentum that you need. But
Put
then
that
there's
spark under your
also
ass.
right, light the fire. Um, but there's also the other side of the destruction, the
Right.
devastation. And if you have too much fire energy within you, it can actually start to manifest in things such as hatred, jealousy, irritability,
Mm,
intolerance, anger,
right.
rage. People can tend to become explosive, combustible,
Right.
spontaneous, really, not that spontaneity is a bad thing, but I mean, it is one of the elements that could show up. But, you know, and also obsessive. And so, if people who have a whole lot of the fire element, um, and if it stays unchecked, yeah, it can go to that rage, but then also it can turn into that silent anger that does
Oh,
things
that
such as stews and
the
simmers.
burning, the burning anger,
Mhm.
simmering.
Yes. And that gets really deep seated. And so when you're looking at from a magical viewpoint, right, what witches strive to do is, you know, ideally, not that anybody has to do anything, but my understanding of magic and the best way I have to work with it is that the ideal place to be for a witch is to learn how to work with the elements, and also how to learn how to balance the qualities of the elements within yourself, right? So
That really does make sense, because I used to stew. I used to, I wouldn't say anything, and then I would just explode all over the smallest thing. And then you get the verbal diarrhea of everything, that they did wrong over the past, since the last time I blew up.
right,
And, of course, the person's looking at you like,
you're crazy.
what the fuck? What did I do?
You're top.
All I did was put my shoes in the wrong spot, and now I'm getting, this verbal diarrhea all over me.
You're getting blasted. Yep.
Yep. Um, yeah, that's something that my husband now has really helped, you're not leaving until we discuss this, which made me even more angry that he would do that. No, I don't discuss my problems. I blow up on people. How dare
I
you
get
sit
really
there and make
fiery.
me do this? But no, I mean, it's been, God, years since I've done that. And it's so freeing, when you can balance them out,
Right.
you know, it is freeing, it's releasing, and it's learning to, not hold the stuff in and not to stew. Oh my gosh, it's the worst.
Well, and that's the whole thing, right? Why do witches want to practice magic? I mean, we have magic, and we want to use our magic to create better lives for ourselves and the people around us. And all of
Right,
that starts through that alchemy of within creating
right,
without. So, and the elements again, they're not just the physical aspects. There is that energetic and that spiritual and layer of essence to these elements, that when we learn what they're about and we learn to understand them and how they manifest within ourselves, within our lives, we're better able to work with them magically, but we're also
right,
better able to balance within ourselves and really invoke at will the energy and the element that we need within our lives. So, you know, learning these qualities and really sitting with them and reviewing them gives you not only a deeper layer within yourself to work with within your magic, but then that it does start to manifest in reality. You become a better practitioner of magic. You are able to work a spell and see faster results in reality. It is real, right? Like it shows up, but it comes from doing the inner and the outer piece as well, doing the energy work, doing the ritual, doing the magic, but having
hmm
that understanding of what you're doing and why. It's not about just following a spell book and hoping for the best. And I think that's the big part that sometimes gets lost or confused, like especially for new witches starting out. They think, oh, I just got this spell book and I'm just going to put all these pieces together. But there's deeper layers to it, which is why we're doing this podcast, to
right.
help people
And
understand.
listening to, everything that you just said, I mean, that's truly helped me, because, looking at how I used to bottle in. So I'm Pisces, so I'm water element.
Hmm.
And having all of that fire and the stewing and the anger building up, I mean, that's like a pressure cooker right
Yep.
there, just waiting to go off. And, of course, my natural Pisces tendency is to go with the flow, don't say anything, let it be. But that's still simmering and burning right there under the surface until, you know, it
Yeah.
never
The
makes me
explosion.
feel better to explode.
Right.
So having kind of squashed that fire, not put it out. I do have, there are burning desires and,
The right
some
use of
fire
the
qual
element when needed.
correct. when needed. So now I'm truly able to personify my Pisces self and
Mhm.
going with the flow, but now able to more advocate for myself where there isn't the rage.
Right. Right.
That totally makes sense. Thank you for this counseling session. It was thoroughly needed.
Well, it's funny because I am that Sagittarius, I am that fire sign, and I'm also that changing fire sign, right? So,
Hmm.
and that's where I am constantly moving from one thing to the next and changing and morphing and transforming. And uh, I constantly go through that. And you see that within me, but that's part of who I am, where, your more natural state is the Pisces, is that water, go with the flow.
Right.
Um, and I have my fiery moments where the rage can come out, or the burning can come out, it does happen, but I always have that burning passion, that energy, that spark that never really fully leaves me, just because I am that fire uh, energy. Um, and I like that about myself. I love that about myself, but I also want to understand, know, and be able to work with all of the elements again, so that I'm empowering myself internally, um,
Right.
and also empowering my magic, so that I am getting the results that I want. So,
And I think that's one of the reasons why we work well together is because where you're passionate and, constantly changing, when you do get too fiery and, that anger starts to burn, I'm over here like, shh, calm down, hush, puppy.
I know
Things are good.
you're over there with the spray bottle, like I'm a cat, like let's just like douse a little bit of this water, let's get some water out over here.
But at the same time,
Your wildfire spreading, let's pull it back in.
right. And so, but when like the energies for creating and all of the ideas, it's, I've never squashed an idea. It was, okay, no, that's great. Let's do that. Pisces, go with the flow. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yes,
Let's roll
no,
with this.
that's true. It is why we work so well together, because I come up with all these elaborate, creative things to do, and you're just like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Sounds cool. So it is. It's fun, and you help keep it on track too. So
Keep the
that's
river
also
flowing.
exactly. So if you're looking at it from this aspect, right, there are blocks that can show up when you're working with this fire element.
Mm.
So the blocks within you that can show up, it can be a lack of energy or a lack of passion, a lack of sexuality is
Oh,
having too low of, not enough fire element. Um, Feeling like it's too much work or it's too hard to create positive change for yourself. That is a
uh,
sign of a lack of fire. Uh, and especially if you're magically blocked, if you feel like you don't want to do the magic, or that your magic's not working, because magic is all about transformation. You're trying to create a change. That is the point of doing spell work and magic. So if you get to a point where you feel like you don't even want to do the magic, that's another sign that something, you don't have enough of that fire element, and you need to invoke that fire energy. Also, holding on to anger and hurts uh, can also be the extreme of too much fire, that you're holding on to resentments and angers and hate, things like that, that need to be released. And you have to shine that light on them so you can start to heal them and release them and get more balanced. So if you
right.
are somebody that maybe has some of these blocks within your fire self, if you're like, yeah, hey, that's me. Um, some things you can do is exercise or go for a walk, and that starts to stir up that fire energy within your physical body. Um,
Okay. Which
you,
also boosts your metabolism.
yeah,
So
because they
that makes
are,
sense.
yeah, they're all connected. They really are. You can do something crafty or creative, even if it's something small, like just doing like the adult coloring. or getting a little craft project from the Dollar Tree or somewhere, and putting something together. It does give you that little itty bitty spark of creativity, which is that fire element. And it can actually start to boost that fire element and bring it back for you. Another thing you can do is make small changes, like do your hair different, buy a different shampoo, get a different smelling soap, eat something different, change up your routine, because the smallest changes are going to make that little bit of transformation and help bring in that fire element. But paying attention to where maybe you're lacking that fire element, then you can actually start to recognize, become aware, and then do something about it, whether that be banishing the blocks, doing magic to banish the blocks, doing magic to call in and invoke that fire element to spark that passion, spark that creativity, to reignite your inspirations and your sexuality, even if that's hit a slump. Then you're at least aware. Then you can take it to the magic.
I like what you said about just doing a small change, making a small change, just doing something small, because in like when you're experiencing depression, and when you're in the depths of depression, it's hard to even just get out of bed sometimes, or to do something. And that is something that they say to do, is to just get up and do something small, even if it's just you unloaded the dishwasher,
Right.
you did something. So I like, that it is kind of, if you look at it in the magical sense, that is bringing the action, bringing a change, and trying to incorporate some of the fire to maybe get you jump started and motivated, feeling like you did something.
And it can be something, and going back to like the magical piece, it can be something as simple as getting just a little candle and asking for, motivation, energy, and just holding that candle and asking that fire element to show up and be, for that spark to be lit within you. And then light that candle and see what happens, because you're invoking and you're asking for that fire element to come back in and help you create that positive transformation and change in your life, which is what the fire element is really all about. I mean, when we look at the fire itself, it is the process of transformation. You're taking something and you're completely changing its physical makeup into ashes.
Right.
It is transformation. And then you also have, looking at the Phoenix energy, and the Phoenix itself, which is associated with the fire element, is that rising up from the ashes, that rebirth. So if you are in this stuck place, or if you are in this place of you have no fire element, at least now you become aware of what's missing, the fire, right? Light that candle, set that intention, light that candle. It's a simple form of magic, but it can work.
Oh, really yeah, definitely a form of intention magic.
Yes.
You're recognizing the passion or something, you're wanting that fire, that burning, the desire to do whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And really it does. It creates that space for that illumination to come in. It creates a space for that spark of the divine, that spark of the soul and life and light to come back in. And it's simply lighting a candle, but it can make all the difference. And that is, again, part of that fire magic is candle magic. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be about the colors and the color magic, which you can. That's definitely a part of the fire magic, using the colors we talked about. So if you wanted to use a specific color that was mentioned for your candle, you can. But that white, that plain white little tea light is just as good and is just as powerful, when you're in that space of needing to just do the smallest smallest change. So it
Right.
definitely counts, definitely works, for sure. So let's see. I think we talked about a lot of stuff I wanted to get covered here. Yeah, so definitely do some fire magic, call in that fire magic anytime you want to do anything productive, active, you need more enthusiasm, you need to take initiative, you want to tie up loose ends, even finish projects or start new ones. That's a great time to call on your fire element. And so things you can do to connect again with this fire element is watch that candle flame. Watch
Right.
it burn. Watch how the flame dances and what it does, and just be still in that moment and be present in that moment and really connect with that fire element. Also, if you have a chance to do a bonfire and watch it, you can incorporate dancing magic and dance around that bonfire. That's always fun to do, in my opinion.
Love bonfires.
Love bonfires. And I love the idea of doing that bonfire magic and dance magic. And I mean, dancing around the bonfire under the full moon. I mean, come on. If that doesn't
Right.
inspire something magical within you, I don't know
And
what will.
if you're feeling really froggy, you go skyclad.
Yeah, you could. I'm not signing up for that personally, but that's okay. Others are welcome. No judgment.
No judgment. Yeah, no, that's not, I mean, I love the people that are brave enough to do that, but I'm over here like, no, I'm
No,
good.
I'm a fire sign and I still don't have that much courage. But yeah. Oh, and talking about hearth magic and cooking magic, which falls
Yes.
under that fire element, you can do some baking, you can do some cooking. All those things count as fire magic. Or just go outside and soak up some sun. Like I think you said that before too. That totally counts.
Yeah, under the hearth magic, it's got I've got cooking, brewing, baking. Um, even have you seen the simmer pots for like potpourri and stuff like that?
Yes, I recently have stumbled across some of that stuff, and they're very interesting because you could make little
Y-
potions and brews.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's something I remember our mom used to do when we were younger. She had one of the simmer pots that you would put the potpourri in with water, and you would just sit there and let it simmer. Um,
Totally don't
so
remember that. I'm so
yeah, I
jealous.
didn't think.
I don't remember.
But that's something I loved about having my wood stove is that, we had that
Um,
fire going all winter and there was always something simmering on top of my stove, whether it was just water or the wax candle melts or I cooked on top of my wood stove. I would go and I'm going to reheat this pizza, throw it on top of the wood stove.
yeah,
And
but you have one now, so you still have one.
yeah, I've baked on top of my wood stove. I've made cornbread. I just bought a pot the other day that I'm able to make bigger breads on top of my
Oh,
stove now.
oh,
So
really?
I'm really excited about that.
Look at you being all, witchy and such.
Yeah,
Magically baking the cool hearth magic here.
I have
Totally cool.
always been about some hearth magic.
Yes, you have
I
actually.
I love the old ways. I'm actually really mad that my husband won't let me put a fireplace in my home that I can actually go and cook in the fireplace. So the compromise
Cool.
is that I'm going to build an outdoor, like a beehive oven, and have pretty much a whole setup where
Outdoor.
I'm going to be able to cook like from the 16 1800s
Nice.
in my backyard because I'm all about I love traditional, I love old, I that's me.
Yeah,
I would
I love it.
be And I guess in my past life, I was one of those reenactors, or yeah,
No, you remember
reenactors at the old places.
we did a past life read on you, and you were that little old witch out there in the cottage, living
I have,
your little life out there doing your stuff. And yeah, no, you totally had a past life out there doing that, being all on your own, and just you were good homesteading.
oh yeah, I mean, and that's the name of our homeschool. We are the Germantown Homestead Academy because
Oh,
we are
okay.
out here homesteading it.
I didn't know that was the name of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. You have to pick a name of your school when you register. So we are Germantown Homestead Academy.
That's cute.
Yeah, I thought so.
All right,
Um,
cool. Oh, I did want to mention I ran across. Okay, so if you're outside and you're doing the bonfire thing,
mhm.
and you want to add some of the cool elements of like throwing stuff in the fire and getting the cool effects,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Vesta powder can be
Vesta
used.
Powder.
It's Vesta, Vesta powder, and you use it to like throw it on on the flames of your bonfires, and it's the thing that gives it all the like the big combustion with the colors and the smoke and the those cool effects that happens. So
Yeah,
definitely don't use it inside.
right. And don't use gasoline on your bonfire. That's
Oh goodness.
bad.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, no, no. That's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Get the Vesta powder. Be safe.
Yeah, I did run across this and I have not tried it yet, but I want to. Apparently, pumpkin spice can do cool things to a flame.
I have heard that.
Have you tried it?
I have not.
I haven't tried it either, but they're saying like you could even add it to your candles and do it in like indoors. Like it doesn't just have to be outside. I'm gonna try
I
it.
don't even know. I'm actually sitting here thinking like, do I even have any pumpkin spice? Because my
Oh,
daughter,
I am that pumpkin spice person. I know I've got some.
well,
I love
I
everything pumpkin.
I buy it, and then when I need to go and use it, my daughter has used it all. She has either put it in her hot chocolate, she has put it in her pancakes. My kids just go in the kitchen and, they'll whip up pancakes in the morning. They cook for themselves now.
Okay, so
But
she
yeah,
sounds like you. Just add
yeah,
it in
she adds it to
everything.
everything. Yeah, I was out of vanilla for the longest time. I'm like, what are you doing? Drinking the stuff? Getting your daily nip or something. Good Lord. Like, I don't buy the cheap stuff either.
But yeah, I thought that was cool. We got to get some of that Vesta powder and do it at one of your bonfires and see what it does. But it's supposed to be the thing that does all the cool stuff. Um,
Yeah, we're actually getting that area cleaned up and ready for use because we haven't done a bonfire in a while. So
yeah,
I've
we
got
need to.
got them
We got
back
Beltane
there
coming up.
doing their
We got to
thing.
celebrate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna try the pumpkin spice thing and see what happens with that. Oh, here's something I ran across that people might enjoy. The Mars symbol or a sigil symbol, same thing. You can, if you are not able to burn candles or actually have that fire element wherever you're at, let's say like you're in a space or a place where you're not allowed to use candles, but you still want to do your spell work, you can use the Mars sigil slash symbol, which is it's a circle, and look it up, you guys, but it's a circle and then it has an arrow coming out on the right hand side at a 45-degree angle. But you can add that to your spell work, and it will bring the same power and intensity as if you were actually burning a candle. So if you're one of those that you're in a space or place that you can't actually, use the fire element, the physical flame, or candle, you can use that Mars symbol instead. So, you can still get your sheet of paper, write your spell out, add the symbol, add your oil, add your herbs, just like if you were, anointing your candle, you would just anoint your paper. And then, just focus that intention and set an amount of time that maybe like you want to set aside for if like you had the candle going and were burning it, it doesn't
Oh,
really
that's
matter, but you can use that symbol in place of an actual candle. So I found that as a little witchy tip. Let's say like you're in a hotel room. If you don't have a candle, but you need to do some magic, jot
Right.
it down, jot something down or throw something together and use the Mars symbol and, let it be your quote candle. And then you can do like the visualization energy piece still of your magic with the fire element. And you're just
Hmm.
replacing the physical piece of the fire element with the Mars symbol. And you can also use the sun symbol as well, which is a
Right.
circle with a dot in the middle. So I thought that was a cool little witchy tip. So if you can't use a candle, you still got this. You can do. I thought that was neat.
That is neat. Yeah, I was going through my list of spells or, working with fire energy, the fire element, and I didn't have that written down.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool thing I ran across in my books. A couple other little chants, fire chants that you can add in, like if you're doing some bonfire magic, or if you're doing, let's say you're doing the lighting your little candle just to pull in more of that fire element, right? This one small little change. So a little chant you could try is blessings and fire, higher and higher. And it's just a little chant that you could add in to your little candle before
Oh,
you light it. So blessings and fire, higher and higher. And then another one I found was fire makes magic go, inner peace begins to flow. Rise, O flame, and purify, enchant this place from ground to sky.
that's
So
a nice
another
one.
little, yeah, a nice little charm that you can add in to bring in more of that fire element and invoke that within you, especially
Right.
if you are at that low place and you've got no fire, you've got no energy, you've got, get you a little candle, do that little chant over it, that little charm, light it up, and see what happens, because I think it'll make you feel better. Bringing that
Well, and to
fire
go
energy
along
in.
with, if you're not able to do a candle or, you're concerned about doing anything big like that, I was thinking, in certain areas, it's not, it wouldn't be, I guess you wouldn't get sideways glances of, if you were wanting to just do something really quick, light a lighter really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, you got some
Yeah,
fire right there. Or, burn a
a match.
match.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
agree.
And it's not something that's going to sit there and burn for a long time, but it just is giving you that quick little burst.
Right. Yep. That spark, which is sometimes all you need.
Right.
So, yeah. Uh, so when working with the elements, and this is just something I wanted to throw in there because we're going to hit the other elements as we go along. We might do one over the next one a month, as we go, but we will be covering all the other elements as well.
Hmm.
But when you're working with the elements, you work with them really in three aspects, which is mentally through visualization, uh, astrally through the energy piece, and then the physical, which is the actual element. So, again, just trying to invite people to think about the elements on that deeper level through that mentally, astrally, physically. And then when you're actually doing magic, that's where you're combining actually all three of those pieces. Um, and then a lot of times when you're doing magic and you're doing ritual, you pull in all the elements, but not always, but sometimes it depends on what you're working. Uh, but yeah, just a little thought, a little tidbit I wanted to throw out there. And I don't know if we talked about that, but lightning and electricity
Yeah,
also
no,
fall
storm
under,
magic.
yeah, they
Storm
also
magic.
fall under fire, the fire
Hmm.
element.
Yeah, I've got harnessing the energy of lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Storm magic. That sounds like fun.
it does kind of, doesn't it? I know my
That
dogs
sounds
freak
like
out.
something I want to explore more of and dive into.
I wonder if you were to So when I think of harnessing the lightning energy, I think I wonder, it would be neat, like symbolic wise, what have you, is to maybe fill a jar with water. And if it's lightning and you're standing outside, the whole vision of like if you're holding the jar up and it looks like that lightning goes into the jar
Hmm.
and then putting the lid on it.
I think you
It's
could
like,
totally, yeah, yeah. So I think that would totally be part of like, again, going back to working with the elements and that mental, astral, physical. So if you
hmm
have that jar of water and you've got it outside during a lightning storm, which, again, be cautious, use caution. Uh,
right.
but, even just mentally visualizing the lightning, going into the jar, into the water, and then, astrally, again, you're pulling in that energy. So you visualized it, you're asking the energy to go into it, and then you have the physical jar there to hold it and be the container. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I think that would work. Now, what
I
would you
think
want to
so.
do with it after you got it? I think would be even more interesting to know.
Incorporate it into the magic or maybe cook with it or, what have you.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think that there are a lot of things that could be done.
I know you've really got me wanting to think on this. So,
I totally just made it up.
well,
Copyright pending.
maybe we should do an episode on storm magic and we dive in and we do some research and come up with some cool stuff for people because I'm interested.
I'm interested.
You got me interested bringing it up. So I'm making myself a note.
So I do have
Um,
some ideas on some ways to harness the energy of fire element into your life.
yeah, go for it.
Okay. So you can recharge yourself through sunbathing.
Yes, I love it.
So, I mean, I know they tell you, put the sunscreen on and all that, all that stuff, but
Yeah, but
sunbathing is
it's definitely something to it because you get your vitamin D and that
right.
helps with your endorphins. It really does recharge your energy and it does make you uh, mentally, emotionally feel better. So yeah, totally.
Right. And there are people that get the, seasonal depression.
Hmm.
So, the sunlight and the effects that it has on your mood and all of that stuff. I mean, that's proven.
Yeah.
Um, I've got burning papers with wishes, intentions, and a bonfire, or even your cauldron.
Yes. 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 You can totally
Yeah.
do that. Burn it in your cauldron. You could even put a little tea light in your cauldron if it's big enough.
Oh, yeah, I
And
do.
ooh, I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna put that pumpkin spice. I'm gonna throw
Oh,
that
and
in
then
my
you'd be like,
cauldron on the tea light and see what it does. Heck yeah, I'm gonna
"Yeah,
do that. I hope it does
do it on the
something. I
porch.
hope I'm not
Do it,
disappointed. Do it on the porch.
do it on the porch. Do it on the
I'll do it on the
porch.
porch. I'll do it outside. Be safe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Be
do that.
safe. Be safe.
And then yes, burn some wishes on some paper. Oh, you can also use bay leaves,
Oh,
by the
right,
way.
right, right.
And they
Bay
do
leaves.
spark, so be careful. But yes, they work as well. They're great for wishing magic and fire magic.
Here's an interesting one. Burning old belongings to release old habits and negativity.
I love that.
I love that.
I really do. I love that because some stuff just needs to go.
It does. I mean, even if you live in an area where you can't really burn any of your thing, maybe symbolically burning it and then putting it
Yeah.
in the trash.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, because I know there are
In your
laws and
mind,
everything.
light it up. Right? In your
Right?
mind, light it up.
Most
Watch that.
definitely.
Watch that stuff burn.
So fire scrying, which is the divination in
Yeah.
candle flames or bonfires. But then
Yeah.
there's also the burning incense and, the smoke cleansing or doing the scrying with the smoke.
Yes. And I like the fire scrying. And you can also watch for salamanders in
Mm,
the flames as well. And sometimes the salamanders will bring you messages. And they are associated with inspiration. They also bring you help and assistance when needed, and
right.
creativity. So if you're doing some fire scrying and you see some salamanders, there's some good stuff, inspiration, help, and creativity on your way.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Ooh, the solar magic, they call it solar magic, but making the sun teas and the elixirs and stuff where, you set them out into the, I know it's not solar, but you hear people do moon water. Why
Mhm.
couldn't you do sun water?
Oh, you totally
Uh,
can. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And actually, I have a little tidbit on sun stuff since you've mentioned it.
Hmm.
Uh, so sun magic, I falls under that fire element, like we're talking about. So sun water, I think would be great, but the sun itself is great for things like spell work about energy, wealth, finding your purpose, achievement,
Mm,
courage, illumination, which we talked about. That can be anything from illuminating your path ahead to illuminating the truth. Anywhere you want some illumination, right?
right.
And creativity, strength, inspiration, warmth, success, and anything doing with the home. So all of that falls under the sun. So making that sun water, and then incorporating it into these kinds of spells, your wealth, prosperity, energy, any of that, definitely. And then you can add in those the flowers and the spices and the different things we've talked about, and
Hmm.
make yourself a little sun tea. You can make your tea from it using the sun water, make little potions, add it in your magic. Yeah, I love that. All of that.
So kind of going along with that, so I used to cloth diaper, and I made my own cloth diapers because, homestead over here. But one of the things they said is that hanging your diapers on a line out in the sun, actually hanging any of your clothes, towels, what have you, out in the sun on a clothesline, the sun acts as a natural bleach. So
Yeah.
it's, kind of disinfecting your clothes, and whitening your clothes as well. Um, but I know my grandma made me a quilt, and it had black on it, and the sun actually bleached the black to a gray
Oh,
just
wow.
from being outside. So you have to be careful, and watch what you are putting out there, because,
Right.
the cleansing and, purifying properties of
Yeah.
the sun just on regular everyday items,
Right.
it's pretty powerful. Um, so that's, the sun is cleansing.
Yes.
So
And
really, if nothing else, take that away and get out in the sun and cleanse yourself.
right. So on the crystal podcast episode, I talked about you can charge your crystals out in the sun for
Hmm.
30 minutes or an hour. And it does really give your crystals that big energy boost so that they can,
Hmm.
and you can feel the difference. Like if you've worked with your clairs and you're working with energy or you're learning to work with energy, you can tell the difference from a stone that's not been out. Take it outside for 30 minutes, put it in the sunshine, bring it back in, feel it. It's going to feel juiced. It's going to feel charged. You can tell a difference. I do caution if you put your clear quartz out in the sun, please make sure it's somewhere where the light cannot reflect through it and cause a fire, because your clear quartz
Right,
crystals will catch things on fire outside. So just FYI on those.
right. Oh, but you can also make a sun catcher.
Yes.
Sun catchers are neat
And
and a
the
way to
crystal
harness that.
prisms, and
Hmm.
we sell the little crystal prisms on the store. If you guys are interested, it's thewitchsource.com. We have our little shop there. And we have the crystal prisms that you can use to make your sun catchers, which I
I
have
know
them
you
all
guys
over my
can't.
house because I love them.
I know you can't see her, but she's pointing to the sun prisms as she's talking about it on a
I
video
really can't.
that nobody will see.
I talk with my hands. I can't help it. And even though you can see me, nobody else can. Yes, you guys, I am pointing at the three crystal prisms hanging in my office window because I love the rainbows in the afternoon.
I love you. You're so cute. Um, oh, blacksmithing and forging is a way to
Yeah.
work with the fire element.
Yes, which ties into the athame and why it
Hmm.
is the fire element tool.
Yeah, my husband wants to get into blacksmithing. He wants to have a whole forge here on our homestead.
That will be very interesting.
It would be interesting. But then, I mean, you've already covered working with the crystal linked with the fire element.
Yeah.
Um,
And so basically any of your, red, orange, yellow stones you can use to work with and call in and invoke more of that fire energy. Oh, I do want to mention you can also use the fire element to burn away that which is no longer needed. Uh, and you can apply that to, different qualities within yourself or aspects in your life. Um, so yeah, just a tidbit thought. You could burn away negativity.
mhm.
Um, different things. So there's another way that you can use. So we've talked a lot about like increasing good and transformation and positive, but you can also use it for, we talked about like the banishing and the, clearing, purifying. But yeah, you can also burn away that which you don't want. You can use it to destroy, burn away bad habits, um, reprogramming, things like that.
Yeah, you can incorporate it into sex magic
Yes, which
because being that
falls
the
under.
loins are associated with fire.
Yes, so it's that passion piece. So
Hmm.
definitely that sex magic falls underneath the fire element. I totally agree with that. Um, and I think that also goes back to like that block as well. If you have that lack of sexual energy and that's something
Yeah.
that you want to, there you go. Like you can incorporate it. And then once you get that spark going, you can start doing some sex magic too.
That is, but that, I mean, I think that's true when it comes to sex anyways. If it's something that you don't do it all the time, and you're like, every once in a while, you do kind of lose that passion.
Hmm.
And sometimes it takes, just do it
Right.
to ignite
Right.
that flame and, kind of jumpstart yourself again.
Right. Well, I mean, even if you can't go quite that far, again, setting the intention, putting it in the candle, asking that fire element to just become more present and aware within you. Again, even just doing that much can start to ignite it,
Hmm.
and get at least you're thinking about it, right? You're aware of it and you're doing something to make some kind of change, even if it's just the candle magic for it to start the process, to
Right.
jumpstart that area, so even if you just start there, you can start small, baby steps with all of it.
Right. I mean, and I bring that up because that is something that I struggled with, for disclosure, I had a hysterectomy. And after, you have a major surgery like that, it's hard to revive and get that portion of your life going
Oh,
again.
that's totally understandable. Totally understandable. But yeah, I mean, I could see again going to the magic, take it to the magic. Um, and if it's something to try to even just get the motivation back, take that to the magic, right?
Right.
And healing, fully healing, not just the body, but the emotional, mental pieces of going through something like that. Take it
Oh,
to the magic.
definitely.
Yeah. But that's why I say stay magical, because I'm always like, take it to the magic, do the magic, do that spell piece and trust in yourself and trust in the divine and let the magic work for you, because it will. Um, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming that you are witchy and you believe in magic and you know it's real. So it's all about just remembering to go do it,
Right.
remembering to go take it to the magic, do the spell work. There is a spell for that, even if you make it up yourself. So, well,
There
I
is
think
always a spell.
yes, there is. There is. And I have a laundry list of some spells I need to do. Actually, I think I'm going to do them tomorrow. Actually, I might do some tonight. We'll start tonight. um, but yeah, I think we've covered everything I wanted to talk about as far as the fire magic and the element and calling it in, working with it. Did you have anything else to add?
No, I think that was it.
Okay, cool. All right, you guys. So I guess that's it for us for the fire magic episode. We would absolutely love to know what you guys think. Any questions, comments, stories, anything. We would just love to hear from you guys and get your feedback on what you guys think. So you can send us a message. We're on Facebook, or you can send us an email. So our email is thewitchsource@gmail.com. I do get those and I check it, and I would love to hear from you. And I do reply. If you want to reply, I will reply. But you can find us on Facebook, The Witch Source. We're on Instagram. We're also on YouTube. We have spells available on YouTube, the podcast episodes. I go live and do card readings on Mondays. We have Witchy Talk on Fridays. So lots of fun stuff going on. We hope you'll join us there. I do private readings. Those are available. And we have lots of fun witchy wares and magical supplies for sale on our website, thewitchsource.com. And if you are listening to this podcast, we would absolutely greatly love and appreciate if you could give us a 5-star review, subscribe, and share. If you got witchy friends and you're on any of the social media platforms, please share and let people know about us and give us those good reviews, because we really appreciate it. It helps other people find us too.
And definitely send us your questions, because we'd love to have a whole, question and answer podcast.
Yes. If you guys have questions, comments, and if you have episode requests, if you want to know more about something and you don't have the time to research it yourself, I am more than happy to do so. Like we would love it. So let us know what it is you guys want to know about and hear about. We will be happy to do it. I go to the books, sister goes to the internet, and then we bring it all together and give you the best of both worlds. So, and then
we try and hit all the places.
We really do. And then, of course, if we get anything intuitively, psychically that drops in, we like to throw that in there too. So that's a thing as well.
Yes, like my lightning water, patent pending.
Yeah, the lightning water, that was a cool one. There was something
you forgot
else.
patent pending.
Oh, patent pending. Like the soaps. We're doing fire magic when we do the soaps. That was a total drop in because they're working with the lab.
Go check out our website. We've got all the soaps listed.
Yes, we do. We actually make ritual soaps. Those are available. So if you're looking to make a small, subtle change to invoke that fire energy and get a new scented soap, we have options available.
We've got rave reviews on them. So I make them all personally.
Yeah, we have. So it's funny. I didn't actually mean to tie all that in, but it fits. So that's fun. But yeah, I think that's it for us, you guys. And we appreciate you being here. Love to hear from you. And we will see you next week. And until then, stay magical.
Bye.
Bye.